Forsling, Uyghur, shot, save made, rebound glove by Vetrano. Bennett back up high, Forsling gets it back, a shot, he scores! Vetrano with that bomb.
Welcome to Project Panthers, a weekly podcast discussing your Florida Panthers. Now, here's your host, Brunswick.
What a week, what a week, what a week. I am your host, Brunswick. The show is Project Panthers, and what a week it's been in Panther territory. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means you found us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other major podcast platform out there on the World Wide Web. You can follow us on Twitter at Project Panthers, that's P-R-O-J Panthers. Search us on Instagram at Project Pantherspod, and on Facebook now by searching Project Panthers. Cat's record currently sits at 28, 12, and 5 at the time of this recording, moving up to take second place in the NHL Central Division. Overall, a pretty solid week for the team. They went 2-0-1, picked up 3 of 4 points against Tampa in Tampa. With only 11 games remaining, every single one of these games increases in importance as the Panthers try to lock up some home ice advantage through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself just yet. Let's see what happened in the week that was. First game of the week for the Panthers came up against the Dallas Stars. Second of 2 games in a row in Dallas on Tuesday. Hoping for a better start for this one from the Panthers than on Saturday afternoon. Can't let Dallas get a hold of this game early on again. Coach Q chose to go back to his traditional 12 forwards and 6 defensemen for this lineup. Nudavara and Strawman shoring up the bottom pairing on defense. Anthony Duclair also returning from injury in this one. His first action since March 30th against the Red Wings, so hopefully he provides some spark with the speed in this one. But the real news before this one was the news that broke about Carter Verhaeghe being out week to week with an injury. We didn't hear anything about this, but from what I hear, the Panthers knew about this before the trade deadline, so they made their moves with the knowledge that Verhaeghe was going to be out for a little while at least. It's going to be tough losing a guy like that who's having an incredible year. Basically, their second or third best forward of the season. But they got to do what they got to do, right? The injuries happen, and it does feel like this team's a bit cursed this year. They got to push through. Panthers get a power play 6 minutes in, but still too much passing by the first unit. Just forcing too many tough plays, not keeping it simple. And once again, no one's surprised. Their best chance was when they kept it simple, but nothing came of it. No idea why Q isn't trying Owen Tippett on this first unit. They need Ekblad's right-hand shot replacement, and Tippett desperately needs some confidence with that puck, and I think this would be a perfect way to accomplish 2 things, to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. Teams take a couple penalties not far apart, and the game gets to finally open up a bit with some 4-on-4 action. Coach Q throws Hubie and Barkov out there, a nice little pairing to have on 4-on-4. And after some nice hustle in the Dallas zone, Hubie finds Nudavara cross ice, who then has a nice look to find Barkov in front of the net for the easy 5-hole goal past Khudobin. 1-0 Panthers lead. That's Barkov's 10th goal in 12 games. So less than a minute later, though, Dallas comes right back and scores on just their second shot on goal almost 13 minutes into the game. This was a broken play by Gudas, who lost the puck in his feet and left the on the left side of the net. Louis Starnen misses his chance to clear it, and Stars captain Jamie Benn picks it up and finds Robertson in front of the net to tie the game. This is not a great goal to give up, especially right after just taking the lead. The Cats did a good job of limiting the Stars' chances by keeping them on the perimeter, but they do give up a 2-on-1 that Nudavara plays absolutely perfectly and blocks the pass from getting across to nullify the opportunity. So far, a good game for Nudavara in this one, and he's been the most noticeable in this game that I remember him being in a Panthers uniform yet this season. So, really another positive for this team going forward. Hopefully he can build on that. Panthers start the second with some good pressure, and it pays off for them. Radko Gudas takes a pass from Yandel and winds up from the point. The puck deflects off of Dallas' stick in front and floats right over Khudobin's shoulder for the 2-1 lead, and Butcher's first goal as a Florida Panther, his first goal in over 60 games, and I believe it's been over a calendar year since he last scored a goal. So, yeah, good for him. This is it's another slow game between these two teams, though. Much of what Saturday had, they sort of feeling each other out. Nobody really wants to make a mistake defensively. These last two games have been slogs, to be honest, and thankfully I missed most of Saturday's game, but this one looked like much of the same stuff, and at least some guys showed up to play and had big efforts. Like I said, Marcus Nudivara having his best game as a Panther. He's skating smoothly, making the right plays, having some great outlet passes, and extremely aware defensively, something we haven't seen from him a lot this year. And the Cats D have the most success in the second period as they're willing to activate offensively, and we've been seeing all season long this helping to create some open ice for the Panthers, but Dallas is doing a good job of clogging the slot, so the number of high quality chances for the Cats in this one are few and far between. Cats came out with some similar energy in the third. Second line was leading the way early on, trying to pad that 2-1 lead. Vetrano got a couple of really nice chances against Khudobin, but he's there, gets in front of them, and makes a save. Up to this point, Florida's done a good job of beating Dallas at their own game and really slowing the pace of the game down and doing what they can to maintain possession and prevent any sustained pressure from the Stars. They really weren't giving the puck up when they didn't need to. It was pretty dominant performance possession-wise by this squad in the third period. But Dallas is a good team. Their record does not reflect what they can do. I wouldn't say their performance in the third was dominant. I should take that back. It was, they're playing the game that Dallas wants to play, and they're beating them at it. So I think when a team is malleable enough to adjust to their opponents in the many ways we've seen the Panthers do this season, I think that's something to note. And Dallas only had 13 shots for the first two periods. That's, again, nothing. We'll see a similar theme on Thursday against the Lightning this week. But the game finally opened up about 50 minutes into this one. Both goalies made a couple of really big saves, and both got some help from their goal posts. But the Stars took advantage of the up-tempo boost, and Pavelski scores on a rebound. He was able to get this chance because Anton Stralman left him all alone to walk in front of the net to tap at him. I'm not too sure what Stralman is doing on what he was doing on this play. His struggles kind of continue right now. Ever since that injury late February, early March, he hasn't really been the same as he was early on in the season, and I worry what his future is in the NHL, to be honest. Really thought Stralman was starting to turn it around, but it doesn't look that way again, especially on an effort like this. This was just this was an easy play for him, and he just lost his man. Stars completely take over this game after that, and they started generating chance after chance. The goal really boosted them, and they're throwing pucks to the net, crashing the net with everything they have. Cats are trying to scramble to adjust, and they're kind of hanging on for dear life after running the show for the first couple periods. But they sort of left Drieger alone in an ocean without a paddle. But somehow Drieger gets it done, and that's how they make it to overtime. Is all thanks to Chris Drieger standing tall at the end of this game. He made some of his best saves of the season in this third period, to be honest. And the Cats making it to OT is on his back alone right now, because this game could have been 4-2 by the end of it for Dallas. In the extra period, Duclair comes out of the zone with the puck, and Jamie Benn sticks his back leg out for a really, really questionable hit. This led to a 2-minute tripping call against Ben, but Duke went down awkwardly, and we didn't see him for the rest of this game. Thankfully, it wasn't a long-term injury. It wasn't out because of it, but I don't know about this one. Like, looking at it, the replay of this hit, Ben stuck his leg out. I don't know what his end goal was. There was no suspension. There was no punishment as a result of this play. I don't know if the NHL looked at it. I'm sure they did, and they deemed it okay. Maybe they didn't look at it, but it was questionably dirty. I'm not saying it was dirty, but if you were to say it was dirty, I don't think you're stretching that far. Ben isn't the squeaky clean player that some guys are in the league. So again, I don't want to assume. Thankfully, Duclair was all right. On the ensuing power play, it's much of the same nonsense we've seen from the top unit. This time 4-on-3 because it's no T, but honestly, it's the same old overpassing nonsense. I just don't know how else to put it. They are overthinking plays, and with 4-on-3, you have so much room on the ice. You have room to grab a rebound, to take a shot. It's just way more opportunity when only 3 guys are defending. And they just didn't generate a lot. But with 17 seconds left in the power play, Coach Q likes to put on the flaming hot second unit of the Florida Panthers. He put on a unit of Wenberg, Vetrano, Uyghur, and Forsling. What do? They shoot the puck twice in the span of 8 seconds. And on the last one, Vetrano blasts it home for the 3-2 victory. This is Frankie V's 3rd overtime winner of the season. One hell of a year for Vetrano. I think he's playing really well. He's gonna get a pretty nice contract after all is said and done. He's got one more year left on his deal, but after that, he's gonna get a pretty decent pay upgrade. I would say. I hope it's still with the Panthers and they can make it work with Barkov and Huberdeau's contracts coming up as well. But Vetrano's been a key part of this team for a long time, and I love to see him still with this group and enjoying the success with his team, because Frankie V has been a favorite player of mine for a very long time. His effort is never in question. Main takeaways from this one, I mean, obviously huge to get the overtime win. Another clutch goal by Frankie V. Definition of clutch, this guy. But I got to give props to Marcus Nudivara. He had his best game as a Panther in this one. He was visible for all the right reasons, and he made a ton of heads-up plays, both defensively and offensively. If he can continue this kind of play, the Panthers will have some nice defensive depth with him and Montour now joining the fray. Gustav Forsling continues to impress this season. It's like he gets better every single game. He played 23 minutes and 45 seconds in this one, and he assisted on Frankie V. He had the primary assist on Frankie V's game-winning goal. He also made 2 huge defensive stops earlier in OT after a couple of mistakes by Wenberg and Duclair in their own zone. Dove across, blocked a pass. The other pass he knocked into the corner. He's playing like a top pairing defenseman, and honestly, he is right now. 23 minutes and 45 seconds is a lot of time for a guy like him. His emergence this season has been a gift that keeps on giving. And Drieger, he was once again a wall for the Panthers. Like, thank goodness they did not trade him at the deadline for a second-round pick or whatever nonsense people on Twitter were hoping to get for him. He's so valuable to this team, and this is the exact type of game that displays that value. I am Brunswick. This is Project Panthers. Appreciate you joining me for this week. Next game was Thursday night against the Lightning. Panthers debut a few new acquisitions in this one with Nikita Gusev, Brandon Montour, and former/new/former/new/new former Panther Lucas Wallmark also all get into the lineup. Just a couple of minutes into this one, and Huberdeau is sprung on a breakaway by Anthony Duclair, but Huberdeau cannot finish with the 5-hole attempt on Vasilevsky. And this was sort of the theme for this night as we dive in deeper. Panthers get a couple of scrambled chances early on, but they can't convert. Tampa's doing a really good job to disrupt the action in front of the net, similar to what Dallas was doing on Tuesday. And they're not doing much offensively as the Cats hold them to only 2 shots in the first 10 minutes. So Tampa's getting it done defensively, but they're not generating much in the Panthers zone. Teams exchange chances, but neither can pull the trigger and take the lead. But with just under 5 minutes to go in the first, Alex Wenberg takes a pass at the Lightning blue line, finds a streaking Hornquist on his way to the net, who proceeds to whip a wicked backhander past Vasilevsky for a 1-0 lead. This is Hornquist's 13th goal of the season, but his first in 9 games. So he's kind of cooled down after that really great start, and at one point he was leading the team in goals, but nice to see Horny get back on the score sheet, and a nice little play by the 2 Swedes teaming up for the goal. Panthers keep the pressure going. They get a couple of quality chances as both Barkov and Duclair are stopped by the Vezina favorite. One of the better periods for the Cats in recent memory as they outshoot the Lightning 13-4 in the first stanza. Forsling makes a strong defensive play on a Lightning 3-on-1 that was just so impressive to see. He blocked the pass twice and played his man perfectly. Didn't even let a pass get across or a shot. Again, continues to be just a nice surprise on this team. Cats get a power play. They get a few chances. They look a lot better with someone like Gusev out on the half boards, playing a similar role to what I suggested of Tippett playing on those half boards. I like what he brings offensively so far, but there was nothing to show for it on this power play. They did look better than they did in the previous game. A few minutes later, the Bullets get a power play chance of their own after Gudis gets called for a holding penalty. Panthers look pretty good with their penalty kill, but they get caught in a really atrocious line change. Basically, the whole team went for a change at once. Vasilevsky sees this as an opportunity. He sends a bullet of a pass to Alex Killorn, who breaks in 2-on-0. He likes to pass it. Uyghur gets back in time, but not in time enough to make a difference the way he wanted to. His stick gets on the puck, slides between Drieger's leg, and ties the game for the Bolts. They ended up giving the goal to Anthony Cirelli, and then back to Killorn, and then back to Cirelli. And I think finally the goal ended up going back to Killorn after all was said and done. Things got aggressive a bit close to the end of the period. There's a couple of really big hits from both sides and some extracurricular activity post-whistle by the Panthers net. This results in the power play for the Panthers that carries over into the third. I hate these carryover power plays. They feel like 2 mini power plays, not a full power play. It's like you give the penalty killers a free break in the middle of the power play. I really hate getting a power play at the end of a period. But lots of good puck movement again on this power play. Gusev, again, playing a factor. That right-handed shot is evident immediately. But, again, nothing comes of it. And instead the Panthers take their own penalty. And this time Duclair goes to the box. Panthers keep the pressure coming after the teams play some 4-on-4. And they're really throwing a lot of Vasilevsky. They really are. They're kind of throwing the kitchen sink at him, too. And he's there to stop everything. But the Lightning get a 2-on-1. And, the Lightning give up a 2-on-1 because the pressure is honestly nonstop from the Panthers. Huberdeau makes a beautiful little spinorama pass, which we've seen before, to Duclair. Nice little spinorama. Duclair buries the top shelf against Vasilevsky. 2-1 lead for the Panthers. The boys are so pumped after this goal. Really great to see. But just minutes later, the Bolts get a nice tip from Ross Colton, who's sitting all alone in front of the net on the side to tie it up. He was untouched, had all the time in the world, didn't take all that time, just tapped it in. I saw some people saying Drieger should have had this, but in reality, there's never should have been a guy all alone in front of the net like that. Just not a good play and not good awareness defensively. Cats do not get discouraged, though. They continue their up-tempo game, and this leads to a plethora of chances for them. But again, Vazzy just continues to make save after save. Tampa really doesn't look good in this one, though. Short of a few spurts in the second period of offense, Florida dictated the play for most of this game. But thanks to Vasilevsky's play, the Bolts hang on to bring the game to OT. I feel like he carries this team, and he is Tampa at this point, right? In OT, Uyghur blows a tire, and Killorn gets a breakaway, but Drieger stops it. But not long after, Hedman gets another breakaway, and this time he finishes 3-2. Bolts win in overtime. Main takeaways from this one: Panthers deserved a better fate. Short of a few minutes, like I said in the second period, they were all over the Lightning. They were. Bolts are dangerous, though, and they don't really need a lot of scoring chances to get goals, and they showed that tonight. You combine that with Vasilevsky's incredible play, and it's no wonder that they've had the success that they've had. It really is no surprise to anyone. But I think more than ever, they're relying on Vasilevsky's play right now, and I'm really surprised Tampa didn't make more of an effort to shore up their goaltending at the deadline with Curtis McElhaney as their only backup. If Vasilevsky, and he's had an okay, but not a great season, to be honest, and if Vasilevsky goes down for whatever reason, who knows? I mean, especially in today's climate with COVID and everything, you never know, right? If he goes down, the Lightning are probably pretty much dead in the water, even if Kucherov and Stamkos both get back for the playoffs. They just don't look as dominant and as impressive as they used to. Yes, they've been ravaged with injuries, but I mean, the Panthers don't have Verhaeghe. And it's, Ekblad's also out. Those are big names. So, no excuse there. I'm not impressed with the Lightning this year. I'm just not. Nudavara had once again another great game. It wasn't just the 2 assists he had on the score sheet, but he again looked quick, agile, and he made great decisions and was very visible both offensively and defensively. Gusev was a bit visible on 5-on-5 play. I really only noticed him on the power play. Hopefully it's just rust, as he hadn't really seen game action since March 20th before this one, so almost a month there. Montour looked good at times. At the times I noticed him, good skater, and he's got a really strong first outlet pass. So, new guys making an impact, looking good. Speaking of new guys, game 45 of the season, Sam Bennett gets into the lineup for his first game as a Panther. Second of 2 games against the Lightning in Tampa. Bob also back in net for this one after a bit of a tough outing for Drieger on Thursday. Again, I'm not going to blame him for any of those goals, in my opinion. He had a chance to steal the game for us, considering the Lightning were only held to 18 shots, but the goals he gave up, come on. You're giving up breakaways like that to the Lightning. What do you expect? 2-on-0s, breakaways. It is what it is. Noel Acciari was a late scratch with an upper body injury, so Bennett slots in for him, so no lineup changes. Cats come out with some good early energy. Get rewarded for it as Sam Bennett finds Brandon Montour on the point, who throws it on net, and it looks like Anthony Duclair deflects it, but Montour gets credit for this one. Gets past Vasilevsky. 2 new Panthers getting their first 2 points on this one, with Montour scoring and Bennett getting the assist. So immediate impact from these guys. Love to see it. Cats don't stop there as they get a power play following too many men call on the Lightning, and Barkov takes a nifty little pass from Gusev in front of the net and beats Vasilevsky on his own rebound for the 2-0 lead. The goal was later awarded to Patty Hornquist. I guess he seemed to get a piece of the shot on its way to the net. Gusev is really nice on the power play, and as I've said before, his right-handed shot really gives them a nice weapon on the right side. It doesn't seem to be as accurate and as hard as Ekblad's shot, but it's sort of the same idea. He's kind of helping the power play flow through him because he is that extra option. Gusev also got his first point as a Panther on this goal, with the assist to Barkov before the puck went in on Hornquist's tip. So again, new guys contributing right away. Bolts have been outplaying. They outplayed the Cats for the first half of the period, and they quickly get it back. Just a minute and 11 seconds after the Hornquist goal. Shot from the point deflects off Braden Point's stick, then his skate, and it slides past Bobrovsky. It's a very similar goal to the one Drieger gave up on Thursday. A guy sitting alone in front of the net. Again, avoidable if there's a man there, but not much you can do when a player sits alone in front like that. It's avoidable. These are mistakes that they don't need to have, and don't need to make. The Bolts do a really good job of shadowing the Panthers and not giving them much space in their own zone in this one. Very different game from them. Cats are also struggling with zone breakouts and playing an overall sloppy game defensively in the first, despite having the 1-goal lead. The scoreboard was not reflecting the game at this point. But wait, just as seconds die out in the first, Marcus Nudivara, that's right, you've heard his name a lot in this one, gets a wrister on net. Vasilevsky kicks out a big old juicy rebound to Jonathan Huberdeau, who finishes it off for the 3-1 lead with just 7 seconds left in the period. It's a very surprising result for the Cats after these 20 minutes, considering they are largely getting outplayed by the Lightning. And I got to be honest, though, it's nice to be on the other side of this equation for once. Usually they are playing the hell of the opposition but struggling to score, but because the goalie's playing super hard or they're shooting everything into the chest. But Florida comes out looking very different in the second period, much hungrier for pucks and really pushing to pad that lead even further. But the game starts to tighten up as both teams get a little more cautious with the puck and the physical play gets increased again. A couple power plays for the Panthers, and they had a real chance to make this game out of reach, all but out of reach at least, but they can't take advantage. But that's okay. Frankie V to the rescue. He's here to save the day. He beats Sergachev to a loose puck in the neutral zone and flies in with a ton of speed all alone on the breakaway. Beats Vasilevsky with an absolutely gorgeous move to finish on the backhand. Oh my God, what a goal this was. Incredible acceleration shown by Vetrano on this one for his 15th goal of the season. This kid is just fire. What a year he's having, honestly. This is such a beautiful goal. I could watch this goal a million times over and just never get sick of it. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and check it out. It was thing of beauty. But Tampa's not going to go down easily. Fourth goal from the Panthers gives them a little bit of energy, I guess. And Chernak gets left alone all alone from the blue line to walk in and wrist it past Bobrovsky to cut the lead to 2. I would have liked to have seen a save here, especially in the dying seconds of the period. And Bob had a pretty clear view of the shot, and it wasn't anything spectacular by a very run-of-the-mill player who's not really known for his shooting. Forwards had the real gaff on this one, though, as both Tippett and Walmart went to the same man on the opposite boards, and this left Chernak wide open with nobody around. Lightning used this goal as a boosting off point, and they started the third scoring less than 2 minutes in to cut the lead to just one. And here we go again, right? Here we go again. This one was a long shot from the point that I think Bobrovsky just didn't see properly, and it beat him. Now it's real pressure on the Panthers to try and hang on to this lead. Both teams did not shy away at this point. The Panthers continued to pressure offensively, but really the first half of the third period was a lot of Tampa doing their best to try and tie this game. Bob stood tall and was ready for whatever they brought. He made a great save on Braden Point later in the period. Lots of tense moments in this one, and that leads to the Bolts giving a last-ditch effort by pulling Vasilevsky with over 2 minutes left on the clock. But they failed to really generate anything dangerous offensively with the extra man, and before you know it, Duclair takes a puck out of the zone, beats the lone Lightning defender one-on-one, and seals the 5-3 victory with the breakaway empty net goal. Oh, baby, how sweet is that? Oh, God. Sweet relief to get that empty netter. Duclair looked so jacked up after that one. Panthers hold on for the 5-3 lead. Huge victory. Take 3 of 4 points against the Bolts in their own building. Nice momentum boost heading into a big week against with a couple of matchups against the Hurricanes. My main takeaways from this one, this team did not quit tonight. They could have been very easily discouraged after Thursday's loss where they dominated and outshot the Lightning 38-18, but they chose to move on quickly from it. This was Vasilevsky's first home loss of the season, and honestly, it should have been his second. The first being on Thursday when he stole that win, but their effort was great tonight, and you can see the passion these guys feel when they score. They want this so badly. So badly. Nudivara and Montour have been great additions to this team, and with Yandel continuing to struggle in his own zone, their emergence will be invaluable come playoff time. The depth that Zito has built for this team right now is definitely something to take note of. When Verhaeghe and Achari get back, this team will have a couple of really formidable scoring lines. I just wonder what will happen with Gusev. He's been a bit ineffective 5-on-5 in his first 2 games, and I don't know if he'll fit with Verhaeghe and Barkov. That might be too much skill and not quite enough grit on that line. And Goose can't really play a bottom 6 role. It's not where his skill set lies, and he's not a great skater. So we will see how the next few games play out for him at even strength, and then what his future will be with the Panthers. With that said, it's time to move on to the world-famous segment of Project Panthers. That's right, 2 points. In the NHL, if you want to make the playoffs, you want to win the Stanley Cup, you got to get those 2 points in the regular season every single night to make those playoffs, to get the chance to win that Stanley Cup. So you got to get 2 points. 2 points. 2 points. 2 points. The crowd is losing their minds. Point number 1. It has to go to the turnover with this team and the effort that this coaching staff has managed to get from numerous players this season. We've seen countless examples throughout the lineup all year long. Remember, this is a team that only had around 8 regulars return from last season. That's a lot of new spots and a lot of risk in terms of chemistry and how the players will gel together. Not like it worked that well last year, so they really had nothing to lose. But when you look at guys like Gustav Forsling, Alex Wenberg, and Carter Verhaeghe, all guys that had something to prove going into the season, whether it was to come back from what they once were or to take the next step in their careers, they've gone beyond any expectations that were had for them this season. Not to mention Mackenzie Weegar taking yet another step in his development and nourishing their young players as they grow into the NHL, like Louis Starr and Owen Tippett. Now you have a guy like Marcus Nudivara emerging as a stellar option defensively. Sam Bennett and Brandon Montour seem to fit right into this group immediately. And although the sample size with those guys is pretty small, I think the culture this team has bred is infectious. And anyone coming into this locker room seems to feel it. And that brings me to point number 2. Point number 2 is the locker room. Sam Bennett, after Saturday's game, was asked about his debut, and he made a point to mention the locker room and just how welcoming the guys are and the positive atmosphere within it. Now, I know I'm not naive. I've been watching hockey for a long time. I know most guys will say something of the same ilk when coming to a new team. They're all pros, and at the end of the day, most guys get welcomed to the locker room really well. But Bennett is far from the first guy to emphasize just how great this locker room is. We've heard Coach Q talk about along with a number of other guys, both new and old, They've talked about the culture in this locker room. If you've ever played on a team that has a locker room type atmosphere, you know just how much the right balance of competitiveness and enjoyment can contribute to the success of a team. I think this explains why Yandle is still in the lineup each night and is part of this team moving forward. The entire NHL talks about how great of a locker room guy Keith Yandle is. And this season, Keith's best contributions have likely been happening off the ice for this team. Adding guys like Gudas and Hornquist to a relaxed atmosphere helps with the balance. And I think there's a combination of all that. Some guys with some chips on their shoulders. It all blends so well together. And I don't think I can remember the last time I've seen players in the Panthers uniforms look this happy on the ice. Everyone seems to genuinely be enjoying themselves. And it's great. It's a pleasure to see as a fan of this team. But like they say, winning cures everything, right? Here we are. Remember, friends, you can send your questions into Project Panthers by emailing us at projectpantherspod@gmail.com. That's projectpantherspod@gmail.com, all one word. Also, feel free to send your question into our Instagram at Project Panthers Pod or on Twitter at Proj Panthers. That's at PROJ Panthers. This week's question comes from Sam from Tumwater up in Washington State. Tumwater, what a great town name. Sam asks, has Anthony Duclair done enough to warrant a long-term contract with this team? Thanks for your question, Sam. This is a tough one. I mean, short of a few games, Duclair has been a nice fit for this team. His speed creates a ton of chances and adds a level of dynamic play that this team didn't have before he came along. I guess him and Verhaeghe. He struggled to score out of the gate, but now he sits at 6 goals and 19 points in 32 games. He's also sitting at a career high in plus-minus, and although some of that credit will go to playing with Barkov, I think his defensive play has been relatively solid throughout the year, despite the scouting report on him when he was acquired. With the expansion draft coming, though, up on July 21st, you don't want to have too many guys signed that can be exposed. And I wonder, with the amount of turnover that Zito's had and the amount of guys on one-year contracts, if Zito will do some under-the-table deals with guys and say, hey, we'll offer you a nice contract before free agency, but just let us get through the expansion draft without you on the roster as a signed player. And Seattle may still take a guy like Duclair if he's not protected. He is only an RFA, he's a restricted free agent, not an unrestricted free agent, meaning that if the Panthers tender him a qualifying offer before the free agency period starts, he will remain a member of their roster until he either signs or chooses to sit out and wait for a different contract. He's not free to just sign with any team he wants to after, I believe, August 1st this year. Now, teams have two options in the expansion draft, and when it comes to protecting players, you can either go with 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goaltender, or just 8 total skaters, a mix of however many forwards and defensemen you want, and 1 goaltender. I think Zito will elect to go with the 7-3-1 pairing. Right now, the 7 forwards I have, it's Barkov, Huberdeau, Verhaeghe, Vetrano, and Bennett. I put Bennett in there because Zito paid a decent price for him just recently, so I doubt he'll want to lose him for anything. Bennett's also a restricted free agent at the end of the season. This leaves a spot for Duclair, and although maybe also it'll be taken by Hornquist or maybe even Wenberg if they feel he's important enough to this team moving forward. But there's a lot of questions regarding this team's roster, and I'm genuinely concerned about losing one of Forsinger or Montour on the defensive side, to be honest. But to answer your question directly, yes, I think Duke has done more than enough to earn a multi-year deal with his team. I think he's a great second-line, third-line guy. Like, you can mix and match between those two spots pretty well, depending on how injuries go. Definitely does not look out of place in the second line. That generates a lot of offense. Duke has Duke has a place in this lineup, and I think he recognizes that. He's playing hockey in South Florida for a really good team. Why wouldn't he want to re-sign? Especially if you fit in with the locker room and you found some chemistry with some guys on the ice. I think Zito should definitely be looking at locking Duclair up, and honestly, he's likely well ahead of me with that line of thinking. But Duke's kind of bounced around the league a little bit over the last few seasons, and I think he's found a bit of a home here. So there's likely mutual interest from both sides to keep this relationship going. And I'm really okay with that. I think Duke's been such a nice piece of this team this year. Definitely been a key contributor to our success this year. Definitely. Well, that's going to do it for me today, friends. This week we're back to the 4-game schedule, but the Cats are finally back home with some back-to-back games against the struggling Blue Jackets on Monday and Tuesday, and then Thursday, Saturday matchups against the first-place Hurricanes. Those 2 CBJ games, those are must-wins to build some momentum going into a couple of absolutely monstrous games for this team. Carolina, and specifically Vincent Trocheck, they've been the Cats' kryptonite all season. Hoping for the new additions to make their presence felt in these games and really put their mark on this little rivalry that's been growing between the Panthers and Hurricanes. Maybe the Cats will be sitting in first place when I sit down to record next week. Who knows? Definitely a possibility. Probably just jinxed it. Thanks again for listening. I am Brunswick. This has been Project Panthers. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook by searching Project Panthers. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and all their major podcast platforms for your weekly dose of Panthers news. Go Cats go, and have a week.